Quiero llevaros de viaje por las preguntas que me han traído hasta aquí, en este preciso instante. ¿Qué rangos hay en los monasterios budistas? ¿Cómo te conviertes en monje budista y cuántos años necesitas para convertirte en un maestro budista o Shifu? ¿Cuál es el camino que hay que seguir para pasar de ser monje a ser abad? Y una vez llegado a lo más alto, ¿cuál es el proceso de selección de un abad? ¿Cómo se eligen los nombres budistas? ¿Qué significa y cómo se elige cada palabra de un nombre? Y para terminar, nuestro primer invitado desvelará por qué me dio el nombre de Miao You. Antes de hablar de las enseñanzas del Buda, quería entender el budismo como institución, los conceptos más básicos y el sentido que hay detrás de todos ellos. Precisamente nuestro primer invitado es la persona que imparte las clases teóricas sobre budismo en Shaolin Temple Europe. Shi-Heng Song es maestro en budismo y abad del templo, y nos ayudará a conocer un poco mejor los fundamentos básicos del budismo.
We are talking about our tradition because there are different ways. So in our tradition, first of all, if you want to become a monk, it always starts with noviceship. So you become a novice in our temple, first disciple, later a novice. But then you become a novice. That means a monk that is still learning, but he is a monk. Yeah? To become a monk, the only thing what you normally need, first of all, is to realize life is suffering, the first of the Four Noble Truths, the sources of the suffering, and suffering can end. And now you want to go the way to the end of the suffering, the Eightfold Noble Path, and you yourself believe the best way to do that is by going into a monastery. The Buddha was asked, is it necessary to be a monk or a nun to get enlightened? And the Buddha said, no, it is not. But for some people, it is the right way. For other people, it's the wrong way. Some people it would bring them, going in a monastery would bring them away from the enlightenment. But most of the time, not being in a monastery brings you away from the enlightenment. So for some people, it's the right way. So, and this is necessary that you say, okay, I identify with Buddhism, I identify myself, maybe with the order I go to, in our case, Shaolin. And this is why I want to become a monk. So, then, if in our tradition it is that way, to become from a novice to a fully ordained monk, you have to become a master first. Yeah? Master in Buddhism and master in, for example, something like the martial arts, just for example. Yeah? Doesn't have to be martial arts, depending on if you're a spiritual monk or a fighting monk. So. But in that case, you would have to be a master. Then you can become a fully ordained monk. And after you're a fully ordained monk, then traditionally is that way that you stay 5 years with your master, and then you go out of the monastery for 5 years and visit other monasteries and travel the world through different monasteries, learn from other Buddhist teachers, other methods, and then you come back. Many monks in our modern times don't do that anymore. Very often, sometimes even novices already travel. In some cases, monks don't go at all anymore because they say, I want to stay in my monastery, that's it. So that's okay. Times changed. Yeah? And it comes from times where the only way to learn from other masters and other methods would be by going there in the monastery because they had no other chance to learn them. Today, with the traveling of masters, with the internet, with all of that, we have many ways to come to knowledge. Yeah? So that is okay. But, and this is the point. So you become, when you are master, you are Shifu. That's the title, Shifu, Master Father. So this is the title. you become a Shifu, and then you become a fully ordained monk. And then after that, if you were 20 years in the monastery, after 10 years you're called a Terra, older one, and after 20 years you're called Mahaterra, yeah, you can say a great, bigger, older one, yeah, one of the honorable older, noble elders, and then you have to go through certain functions, and then you can be the abbot. So, yeah, but the decision who becomes the abbot makes normally, in our tradition, the former abbot. He decides who follows him. But this is in our tradition. In some traditions, for example, in Japan, some abbots can have sons, and they really give the position to their sons in blood, their real sons. This is called the real family system. Our system is called the family system because you choose one of your students which are seen as your sons since you are the father. Yeah. Then we have the Tibetan system. This is the Tulku system. Abbots become heirs of their own throne. They are reborn again. When the abbot dies, they put a regent in the position. Then the abbot is reborn, found. When he's old enough, he takes over the position again. Then there's the Thailand way. There are Buddhists, and when an abbot dies, the Sangha council with the Sangha Raja decides who becomes the next abbot, and the king has to approve that, something like that. And then there are also monasteries where they vote for the abbot, but that is something where they vote. It's called Kongling system, but that's a little bit like with the Pope. After they voted for that, he's in the position and cannot be put down again. So he has to die in that position or resign. That is depending. You cannot say it needs exactly 10 years, but normally we calculate minimum if somebody has already started new, starts with knowledge, yeah, you can say at least 8 years in the monastery before you become master, if you have martial arts knowledge before, or Buddhist knowledge before, something like that. If you don't have any knowledge at all, longer. But it is open. It is not said after 8 years you have to be a master. You get a name because in Buddhism we say if you become, for example, now if you become a Buddhist, you are from this day on more or less like Buddha's son or a daughter. Yeah? So you identify as, you are reborn as a new person, you can say. This is why you get a new name. Novices also get a new name because they are, you can say, this is seen as reborn in Buddha's family. Yeah? So they are belong to Buddha's family from that day on. So therefore, they get new names. Simple like that. And this is why we choose a name for them. But that doesn't have to be if you take refuge. It is a possibility, but we don't have to do it. So for a novice, we have to give a new name. But if you take refuge, we choose normally a new name. And this is calculated. And this is the point why we pick that out, then, or how we pick that out. The Miao, the first part of the name, or the middle part of the name, if you have Shi Hang or Miao or something, the Shi means Buddha's family or belongs to Buddha. It's the short form for Shikyamuni, the Chinese version of Shakyamuni, which was the name of Buddha, Prince Siddhartha Gautama out of the house of Shakya, or the wise from the Shakyas. So therefore, that's the Shi. Then comes the generational name. This is a Chinese tradition that we count our generations. If master is first generation, student is second generation. His student will be third, and so on. And the thing is that the emperor in China gave the order to count generations, but he didn't say how. So every monastery had to find their own ways. And in Shaolin, the abbot at that time said, I make a poem where every symbol that is in that poem, every sign, every word that is in that poem only is in there one time. And then we take the first sign for first letter, word or sign for the first generation, the 30th sign is for the 30th generation, and so on. And for example, Hang means permanent or everlasting, but it is the 35th sign of the poem. It doesn't mean 35. So it means permanent or everlasting, and this is my generation, 35th generation. The next generation, the 36th, is Miao, and this is why you have Miao. I'm Hang, so the next generation is Miao, and Miao means wonderful or mysterious. Can mean both, wonderful or mysterious. Yeah? So, and this is the point why all have that, and then comes the personal name. The third sign is the personal name. First of all, the Dharma names are very much calculated. First of all, I need the birth date and the time of birth if possible. And then we calculate it because we look at the elements when you were born, what we call the wuxing. Element is a wrong translation from the Jesuits, but we still say the elements, or the 5 changing ones. We look at them, and we see what is missing or should be added on there, things like that. So we calculate what names you could have or not have. And then out of that, what is left, we choose a name that we think fits to that person or is a wish for that person. So, yeah. So this is one thing, or what would help that person. Your name is Miao You, and that means normally I think U is for tranquility and peace, harmony. Because first of all, I thought this is what you are looking for. For me, you represent that very much. Yeah, this is what you represent. And this is, I think, what you need, peace and harmony in life. And this is what also makes why we like to work with you, because you are peaceful and in harmony.